the M41A pulse rifle. Today, we will take a look at this iconic weapon which made its debut in the film Aliens. Now, why am I going to be talking about this? Well, the Alien Romulus teaser trailer dropped, and in it, we saw Cailee Spaeny wielding an early pulse-action technology rifle, which got me thinking. I've never actually done an explained video on this iconic gun in the Alien franchise, so I thought, yes, what better time than now to dive back on into the Alien franchise and do another explained video. So hit subscribe if you're new here, folks, and please do turn the bell notifications on. The M41A pulse rifle is by Armat Battlefield Systems. It is a pulse-action assault rifle, and it was notably employed by the USCM Marine Corps during the late 22nd century. It was also handily used by the United States Army. Both of these forces used the M41A pulse rifle as their primary infantry weapon. Through its use with the USCM, as per expanded media, it saw regular use in various assaults and various engagements with both the Yautja or Predator species as well as the Xenomorph. However, on film, we've actually only seen this weapon once, which was in Aliens. However, now, and the impetus behind doing this entire video, in Alien Romulus, we do see Cailee Spaeny wielding an early version of pulse technology. So the development of the M41A pulse rifle is a fascinating thing to dive into. The history of this iconic weapon, it was actually designed by a retired USCM corporal known as Jonathan LaForce. Now, he designed this as part of the Marine 70 program. This is a program which was designed, created to hunt down proposals for a replacement of the then United States Colonial Marine Corps standard issue weapon, which was the Harrington assault rifle. Jonathan LaForce used and actually based the pulse rifle on the Harrington as a starting point in his design. He would also bring in Wayland Corps' own Wayland Storm rifle to model aspects of the pulse rifle off of. Now, despite fierce competition from numerous proposals put forward by then major international corporations, LaForce's weapon, which was a prototype at the time, was designed and built in his humble home workshop, and it was actually selected as a winner. And as history dictates to us that we now know, it was adopted as the M41 in 2171, which is set after the events of Alien Romulus. So again, what we're going to be seeing in that film is a fascinating precursor to the M41A. Now, the early use of the M41 pulse rifle wasn't plain sailing. Although it had great performance in benchmark tests, the early models of this weapon did not have the best success and earned itself a terrible reputation. This was primarily thought to be from really bad and poor quality caseless ammunition, which would lead the rifle to stoppages. Now, there was an incident on LV-832. The pulse rifle stoppages would actually lead to a bunch of the USCM Marines losing their lives, which again further led to a horrendous reputation for this weapon. Now, there were some reports of the early model M41 pulse rifle suffering from overheating, which would actually lead to the ammunition cooking off prematurely inside the chamber or magazine. Not exactly ideal. Now, understandably, this caused a great deal of controversy for the weapon, which was supposed to be their primary weapon of choice. Not a great standard issue weapon having all of these problems. There were, however, a bunch of design changes implemented pretty much immediately, which included additional cooling vents on the weapon as well as other improvements. So the new weapon would then be known as the M41A, and that was then used as the standard issue weapon of the Colonial Marine Corps since that point in time. Now, this version of the pulse rifle would have an exemplary reputation, one of fear and admiration by those that use it and also those who have faced it. Now, an overview of the M41A itself. It was designed to be a lightweight, robust assault rifle. It was constructed primarily using a ultra-light alloy with metal stampings. It had a titanium aluminide alloy outer casing and high impact temperature resistant plastics for many of its internal parts. And again, those additional cooling vents which were added as the secondary revision of the assault rifle. The M41A fully sealed against corrosion, dirt, moisture. Its internal electronics, they were hardened against TREE and background radiation. It would make the pulse rifle even usable in the vacuum of space. The pulse rifle is so light it only weighs 3.2 kilograms. This would increase to 4.9 kilograms when including the sling and fully loaded magazines. However, 4.9 kilograms for a pulse rifle, a legendary machine, is not exactly that much. Now on to the design and the pulse action technology. Again, something we will be seeing in Alien Romulus. The M41A creates an electronic pulse action to fire. It would be controlled directly from the trigger and powered by a battery which was located in the carry handle. The mechanism was internal and it would include the rotating breech, which would mount on the free floating rails within a carbon fibre jacket. The entire assembly is recoil dampened to reduce the effects of muzzle climb during burst and fully automatic fire. The weapon's recoil itself is still fairly significant though, but it's important to note that without the dampening included, this weapon would probably be near unusable. There is a thumb selector which was designed to allow the user to switch between selective, 4-round burst or fully automatic firing modes. A manual charger in the handle on the right hand side of the receiver would allow the user to check for rounds in the chamber or to clear a breach in the event of a stoppage. But again, the redesigned version of the pulse rifle did not suffer from the same issues as the M41. The standard M41A ammunition magazine would store 99 rounds in a U-bend conveyor. These rounds, they're fed mechanically into the weapon's rotating breech. And while the magazine weighs 1.5 kilograms when fully loaded, standard practice is to only fill it to 95% capacity, 95 rounds, to prevent jamming. Now, part of the M41A pulse rifle is also the U1 grenade launcher, which actually mounted under barrel. Now, this grenade launcher comprises of a barrel breech and 4-round internal magazine. Grenades of the U1 grenade launcher have to be hand-loaded into the launcher's 4-round magazine, which are then loaded into the breech and primed to fire from a pump action. The U1 grenade launcher was fairly ingenious. The housing also doubled as a grip during the grenade firing to allow for a sturdier grip as well as better aim. There were some various versions of the M41A pulse rifle. As a brief overview, they are the M41A E2. This is a heavy pulse rifle. It had some trial runs with select rifle and recon platoons. The M41A E2, essentially a standard M41A with the grenade launcher removed, and it would be replaced with an 8cm longer removable barrel and an elongated barrel shroud and a folding bipod. The M41A E2 was intended to function as a light support weapon, providing greater rates of sustained fire at longer ranges. The M41A pulse rifle Mark II, this would be the third series of pulse rifles and was designed to be the primary successor to the M41A. There actually aren't that many differences. It's slightly smaller than the M41A. It would also have a smaller magazine capacity, whereas the previous one was 99 or 95 to prevent jamming. This had a capacity of 40 rounds, which not great, but it would also offer a modular and customizable options with various optics, underbarrel attachments, and it did also have a extended 60 round magazine, but still, if you're facing off against xenomorphs, you would probably prefer to use the M41A just for magazine capacity levels. There was also a pulse rifle known as the M41A2. This would be the fourth iteration of the pulse rifle, and it was actually released during the early 23rd century Now, very similar to the Mark II, it would be modular, customizable, modifiable. It had a 60-round magazine by default though, which improves over the M41A pulse rifle Mark II. However, much like the M41A E2, this fourth iteration of the pulse rifle would not have the U1 grenade launcher. It is a strange thing to not include on a pulse rifle when it proved to be so successful on the original iteration. And then there was also the M41A3, which was the burst rifle. Major differences, again, does not have the underbarrel grenade launcher for some strange reason, maybe to bring down the weight of this weapon. It would have a 4-round burst mechanism, and that would improve ammo conservation. Now, there are some others, some honourable mentions: the M42A2 scout rifle, M41A2 pulse rifle, the M41E, the M41E4 heavy pulse rifle. Now, as per the interviews with Fede Alvarez, what we do see in Alien Romulus is early pulse technology. Unsure how this will fit into the current lore of the Alien universe. A lot of this stuff has not actually been shown on screen, so a lot of the stuff which I have just explained may be completely scrapped, and we have brand new lore moving forwards. But it is interesting to dive into this undoubtedly nonetheless. The M41A is quite literally one of the most iconic and popular weapons in sci-fi film. It's worthy of an explained video, and it's worthy to explore some of its history in film as well moving forward. So I'm excited to see the early version brought into Alien Romulus. What do you guys think? I'd love to hear your thoughts, so drop it down below. Cheers guys, take care, bye bye now.